welcome to a new season of F1 Kids podcasts with me, your host Daniel, and my dad Phil.
Hello.
Today's podcast is a review of the first race of the season in Bahrain. Always exciting.
It is, Daniel. It's always a good race, Bahrain. Well, as I said that, I'm not even sure if that's true, but more often than not, it's a good race. But we've got a lot of new things this year.
Yep.
New drivers, new teams. Who are they?
The drivers are Mazepin, Mick Schumacher, son of Michael Schumacher, and Tsunoda.
Yuki Tsunoda.
Yep.
So that's 3 rookies up from Formula 2.
Mm-hmm. And of course, Fernando Alonso is returning.
Another rookie? Is this another young gun? No,
nope,
he's
two-time world champion.
He's like 70 or 80 years old now. He's probably the oldest on the grid, isn't he?
No,
or is
Raikkonen still is.
Still Raikkonen the eldest. Okay. Yeah, great to see Alonso back. With Alonso on the grid, that means we've now got 10 Grand Prix winners on the grid, I heard them saying at the weekend. Which I'm not sure the last time we've had that many winners. There have been more in the past, but that's a lot of Grand Prix won between them.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of rebranding. So Racing Point are now Aston Martin.
Yeah,
and
great
Renault,
to see that name back.
Yeah, and Renault are Alpine. New.
Yeah, and speaking of both Aston Martin and Alpine, I think they've both got really nice liveries on their car this year, so they look really cool. Who's your favourite? What's your favourite livery this year?
I think Williams. I like the stripes on the Williams, the blue, yellow, and white. I think it looks pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. In fact, there's a lot of good liveries on the car this year.
What's your favourite?
I think might be Aston Martin at the moment, just because I'm pleased to see a racing green back. But I think you're right as well. I think the Williams one looks pretty cool, and I always like the Mercedes.
Mm-hmm.
I like the black detail.
Yeah, right. Really good. Into the race.
Yeah. Anyway, shut up, Dad. You're boring me now. Yeah. Okay.
Qualifying. Quick word on qualifying. Yuki Tsunoda and Pierre Gasly were doing so well.
Gasly
at the
got
start.
5th, didn't he?
Really Tsunoda was 2nd right at the start.
Yeah, but what did he qualify in the end? 11th?
Yeah,
was it? So I think he was really cheesed off to not make it through to Q3. I think Alonso and Leclerc were 2 of the standout performers to get into the top 10.
Mr. Saturday's back, George Russell back into Q2 again.
Yeah, really performed very well.
Perez really underperformed in qualifying. Only 13th.
Did get only 13th. I wondered if he was a little bit unlucky with kind of track evolution and stuff, but ultimately it was him who'd had his lap deleted, hadn't he, in Q2? So I guess it is probably his fault. He started 13th, so
at least he got free choice of tyres.
Yeah, but if we then move straight onto the race, obviously we know who the top 3 were in qualifying. So Perez qualified 13, but he didn't actually start.
Had to start from the pit lane as he randomly stopped on the side of the track on the formation lap.
So that was a bit of a shame for Perez, wasn't it? So we eventually got underway after two formation
laps.
And then let's just instead of doing big stories, let's just talk about the race because there was a lot going on.
Well, the start, I thought it would be a replay of thingy. It looked like someone was having a big crash, but it was just Mazepin crashing into the wall and spinning off.
So in the
end of his race,
and that was like literally on the 4th corner. So he's currently done more formation laps than actual race laps.
Well, he's done no racing laps. Yeah, only formation laps. So then we had a safety car. Leclerc actually overtook Bottas at the start, which was interesting. Yeah,
and then we had Norris overtaking Ricciardo as well, which is kind of a big statement, I think, from Lando to get ahead of his kind of really experienced, multiple race-winning teammate, Daniel Ricciardo.
Straight after the safety car, we had a bit of an incident again. Mick Schumacher spinning off and Gasly losing his front wing, causing a virtual safety car.
Yeah,
so
those
no
were 2
racing laps.
So just to be clear, those were 2 separate incidents, weren't they? So they weren't connected, is what I'm saying. So we had, as you say, both Haas span off effectively at restarts. I wonder if that means that the car's just really, really hard to drive. I don't know, maybe.
Well,
because at first we just thought it was maybe Mazepin being not very talented. But we know Mick Schumacher's a decent driver, but he dropped it as well. So
and after a few laps, nothing much really happened until Hamilton pitted early to try and undercut Verstappen.
He was the first of the front runners to jump into the pits, wasn't he?
Yeah.
On lap 14, I've got it written here. So we'd already had some pits with kind of Norris. Look at that kind of midfield. That was all really, really close as well, wasn't it? A lot of action
what
in
a
the midfield.
start Hamilton had to his second stint. 2.9 seconds faster than Verstappen on one lap.
Yeah, he was 1.3 seconds quicker in the first sector of his first flying lap.
Wow. So then Verstappen eventually pitted, but coming out like 8 seconds behind.
Yeah, well, it was 7 point something. So 4 laps later, he pitted. So he lost a lot of time on that undercut, didn't he?
So very good strategy from Mercedes. And I think Red Bull thought Hamilton was going on to a 3-stop when he didn't really go so far on his first set of hards.
Yeah, and he pitted only 14 laps later, didn't he? So he did 14 laps on the mediums and then 14 laps on the hard. And we even said it ourselves, didn't we? Oh, he's got to be doing 3 stops here. And we thought he was going to go onto the hards or mediums and then softs.
Go really fast.
But he went back onto the hard tyres as well, didn't he? Yeah. And then what happened to Bottas? Thinking about pit stops.
Well, he had
a bad stop, didn't he?
Yeah, really messed up the pit crew. Talk about bad stops. Normally Red Bull are really good, but in Verstappen's first stop, they messed up for slower than Mercedes.
Well, I mean, it's a bit difficult to say they had a bad stop when it was still like 2.5 seconds or whatever, but maybe not their regular kind of 1.9 second pit stops that we've been used to seeing from them. So,
back to the midfield now, there was a huge battle between Alonso,
Sainz,
and Vettel. Yeah, it was on the first corner. I think it was Sainz got overtaken twice.
Yeah.
And then it was Alonso who got overtaken twice. It was just crazy.
I think there was a lot of action in general throughout the midfield. I know often we focus just on what's going on at the front, but at one point I noticed that the 3 front runners were 12 seconds ahead of Norris, who was in 4th. And then in the next 12 seconds, you had about 10 cars really close together. So there was a lot of action. There in the midfield. A lot of cars that have got similar pace, I think. Which is really good for the season ahead, isn't it?
Probably my favourite bit of the race was right at the end, where Hamilton and Verstappen were racing it out. Verstappen trying to catch him to get the win. It was so exciting. He was gaining like a second a lap until he eventually overtook Hamilton on the 4th corner, but went off the track, so he had to give the place back.
So what do you think about that, though? Do you think he should have given the place back? I mean, what's the rule anyway?
Well, the rule is if you have all 4 wheels off the track and overtake someone, you have to give the place back because,
So the team made him give that place back really quickly, didn't they, actually?
Yeah, but they said race control told them to. Yeah. Verstappen wasn't so happy about that. He wanted the 5-second penalty because he thought he could get 5 seconds on Hamilton.
And what do you reckon? Do you reckon that would have been sporting, or do you think that would have been a bit cheeky?
That would have been a bit cheeky, yeah.
I think so as well.
I think he didn't deserve the penalty because I thought he was just ahead on the 4th.
Do you think?
Yeah.
I mean, the rule is the rule, I suppose, but the teams have all been asking for more clarification now about track limits.
Yeah.
I think one thing is clear, though, and that is Verstappen was definitely faster than Hamilton this weekend, wasn't he?
Really close right at the end. Hamilton eventually won, though.
Yeah, so obviously Hamilton and the Mercedes team were absolutely thrilled, as any Hamilton fan was as well.
Right, so the finishing order now.
Yeah, go on then.
So Hamilton won, Verstappen second.
Just to let you know there, that's Hamilton's 96th win now.
Wow, isn't it his first time he's won the opening race since 2015 or 14?
If you say it is, then it's true.
I think so. Verstappen was second, only about half a second behind. Bottas third with the fastest lap, going on to softs at the end. Norris was 4th, good race for him. Perez was 5th after being in last place.
Yeah, I mean, Perez had a lot of good pace actually during the race. So we wonder what might have happened if he had started from whatever it was, a 13th on the grid. I mean, realistically, he probably would have only got up one more place, but you never know with the safety car and the virtual safety car stuff going on.
Leclerc was next, then Ricciardo, Sainz and Tsunoda his first race, getting in the points for
Yeah,
AlphaTauri.
it's a good shout.
And Stroll for Aston Martin getting their first point.
So we had Ricciardo getting points in his first race for McLaren.
Yep.
As expected, really, isn't it?
Same as
Sainz
Sainz.
getting points there. Double points finish in the top 8 for Mercedes, Red Bull, McLaren and Ferrari, actually, if you look at that.
4 teams.
Yep.
So, new thing. Heroes and zeros.
Daniel's heroes and zeros of the weekend.
So the hero driver, I think it was Perez, being able to get up that many places and going on more stops than anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, it kind of shows how fast the Red Bull is.
Yeah.
That he was able to get up that high. But, you know, I'm not allowed to argue with who you select as your hero for the race.
And hero team, Mercedes, good start to the season, first and third with the fastest lap.
And really using the strategy to win the race,
And zero, so the zero driver, Mazepin, or Mazepin, because he span off at the start. Terrible race.
I wonder if that counts as the shortest shortest debut race ever, perhaps.
No, it might have crashed on the first corner.
On the first corner, yeah. I mean, okay, he was only 4 corners in.
And zero team has one retirement and last finishing place.
Yeah, and they both spun.
Yeah.
And the car is obviously just not very good.
No.
And I think it's got the worst livery this year as well. So, not that should really count for anything, but, you know.
Yeah, right. So, the championship. So, Hamilton's on 25, of course, because he won. Verstappen's second on 18. Bottas on 16. Norris on 12. Perez on 10. Leclerc on 8. Ricciardo on 6. Sainz on 4. Tsunoda on 2 and Stroll on 1. So really in the places they finished.
Yeah, surprising that. Given it's the first race.
First race.
Amazing.
And Mercedes are on 41, Red Bull on 28, McLaren on 18, Ferrari on 12, AlphaTauri on 2, Aston Martin on 1, and every other team's on 0.
Yeah. So Red Bull have got 28 more points now than they did in the first race last season, where they didn't have any points finishes, and Mercedes have got more points as well. So, yeah, good.
What about predictions?
Yeah, so we did predict... We made our predictions, which we had independently verified by a family member. So, for this race, you predicted ham.
2 kilos of ham.
And I went for Verstappen.
Well, you were, of course, right on qualifying.
Yeah.
And I was right on the race.
So, we're at 1
Both on 1.
So far.
How about predictions for next race in Imola?
Okay, well...
You go first.
Well, see, we've got 3 weeks to wait as well, which is just agonising after such a good race this weekend just gone. So the last time we raced at Imola last year, we had Hamilton, Bottas 1 and 2. But if you remember, Verstappen had a tyre failure, didn't he?
Big flat spot, and it looked like all the tyre was gone.
Yeah, so, and, you know, the Red Bull looks so fast at the moment, so... Let's both say... Oh, I'm going to count to 3, and then we'll both say who we think is going to qualify on pole. 1, 2, 3... Verstappen! Okay, so that's Hamilton for you and Verstappen for me, and then I'll count to 3 and we'll say who we think is going to win the race. 1, 2, 3... Bottas! Who do you think?
I think it will be Verstappen, actually.
Okay, so you're going for Hamilton pole, Verstappen win. I'm going for Verstappen. I'm already regretting this.
Verstappen, Bottas.
Yeah.
You can't now.
Okay, I said it, didn't I?
Yeah.
I think you're going to be right there. I think we're going to end up with 1 point each.
Yeah. Still drawing.
Okay, so... Unfortunately, we've got 3 whole weeks to wait until then.
Yeah.
So that's painful.
Yeah, so that's the end of the podcast today.
Okay.
So it's bye from me.
And it's bye from me.